Hello, we're here to read a chapter of Cyberfire, my new book about cyber war and climate change. And I had promised to my audience here, you all, that if you'd helped get the Kickstarter campaign past 50%, I would read a chapter with the goats. So here we are. Here's Canela. She's ready to read. They've tried to eat the 5 pages of this manuscript a couple times already, so I'm recording this not live because I'm expecting things to go badly wrong. Willie, get out of my pocket, buddy. Yeah, don't eat my pants. Yeah, so they're mischievous. So if you haven't already, please back the project. I only have a couple more days to go. It ends in December 31st, the Kickstarter campaign. So go to cyberfirebook.com and back the project and share it. And then without further ado, I'm going to launch into Chapter 2 of Cyberfire as a goat eats my jacket. I guess that's what I signed up for, so I'll just have to let him go. Chapter 2, May 22nd, 6 p.m., north of San Ramon, Bolivia. Leah swatted the biggest fly she'd ever seen off the back of her neck. Mierda! As she twisted the second wire around the knotted tree trunk, 5 ants jumped onto her hand. She yelped and shook them off. Renato approached from the undergrowth. Oye, ¿qué pasa, che? Leah swore about the swarm of insects trying to kill her. Renato uttered his soft chuckle and leaned against his rusty machete. Siempre los bichos te quieren comer. Hay que acostumbrarse. You gotta get used to it. She sighed and finished tying the last wire and then took out her tablet to check the network. 974 sensors in place over 25,000 square kilometers of jungle. 7 months of work involving 10 grad students, 30 local field workers, and $500,000. Approximately 1,000 insect bites, 100 warm beers, and 1 really serious fungal problem with her left foot. Canela, I'm reading right now. This is very, very difficult. Don't eat it. No, hey, Willie. All right, I still got some left. We got some left still to read. Fuck field work, thought Leah. Everyone dreams about working in the Amazon, but the only people like Don Renato have the skills and the toughness to survive out here. As Leah trudged back up the path, a swarm of tiny mosquitoes danced around her. Renato sang a drinking song as he slashed through the brush, twirling his machete. They had 4 kilometers to go. Her pocket vibrated and she pulled out her damp phone. Professor Camille's boyish face blinked on the screen. She kept her feet off, imagining the red welts all over her filthy, sweat-streaked face. Congrats, Leah. I saw the last sensor just went online. She pushed around a giant plant leaf that showered her with sticky water. Yeah, finally got him. How's the water level looking? Very low for this time of year across all the tributaries. Very low. Well, we probably could have measured it with a stick in the Mamure, huh? Camille warbled in his bird-like laugh. Willie, don't eat my jacket. We can't do the reading if you eat my jacket. I didn't call you to congratulate you on doing the work of a stick. Just spoke with Purdue. He's moving up the start date. Leah scowled. Wait, what? To when? Next Thursday. Still from Portland, just a week earlier. Leah stopped and ignored the mosquito onslaught. Wait, how the hell does he expect me to start early? I already wasn't leaving any downtime between Bolivia and Maine. How am I supposed to be a goddamn co-leader and he's calling shots like this without me? Camille looked stern. I told him this wasn't a good idea and he brushed me off. Apparently, he already confirmed with a ship captain and the other members. He knows you're still wrapping up the sensors. Leah exploded. Of course he fucking knows. Fucking Glory Hound is trying to leave me behind and make this his expedition. Purdue was a legend. The first to correctly predict every single Caribbean hurricane in a year. The master modeler. Leah thought about all that remained unfinished around her. I don't want to leave your... Camille chirped in a bird-like chuckle. Look, I already booked you a flight out of Santa Cruz in 2 days. Promote one of your grad students and get the hell up here. This is bigger than hydrometers in the jungle. I need you co-leading this Greenland project before it turns into the Purdue circus. I'm about to go in front of the Senate and explain why farms don't work when we drain our aquifers, so be thankful you're getting eaten alive in Bolivia. Pests up here are worse. Leah turned on her video and Camille stopped laughing. Whoa, those marks are from bugs? I knew I had to get you out of there. Leah frowned. Hey, I love it down here. Gorgeous, pristine, great people. A mosquito's proboscis pierced the back of her neck as if on cue, and she slapped it to death. It's just the bugs. I've got a call coming in, Leah. Sorry, I gotta go. Sorry about all this. Not your fault. Thanks for watching my back. The video call ended. Leah shook her head, replacing the phone in its case. Renato kept swinging his machete far ahead on the path. Leah pushed off with her athletic legs and sprinted forward to catch him, her backpack bouncing with equipment. Oye, Renato, me voy a Maine y Greenlandia. Bueno, ¿dónde es eso? He didn't know those places. In fact, he had only been to the big city of Trinidad twice, he claimed. Leah explained, al norte, muy lejos. Renato cut some thick, spiny vines in front of them and glided around a massive ant nest dangling to one side. Another hour of jungle-slashing progress felt like 10. Finally, they emerged back at the river camp full of empty sensor boxes and paseña beers. Mario and Chabo rotated a hochi over an open fire, grinning like children. Renato interrogated them about where they'd been able to shoot such a fine hochi. Leah all but dove into her tent and zipped up the fly against the miniature Bolivian Air Force that had been dive-bombing her. She stripped down to her underwear and applied anti-itch ointment up and down her tormented body. She slathered her foot in antifungal cream and leaned back against her pack, relief flowing over her like a cool breeze. Leah checked her signal and called her brightest grad student, Annalisa. The video feed came on, and Leah desperately clicked it off before she exposed her half-naked body covered in white cream and red bumps. Hey, Leah, how are you? Great. I itch all over, though. How are you? Just saw my first soccer game here in Santa Cruz with the Petroleras and the Strongest. Can you believe their team is actually named the Strongest? Listen, you know that Greenland project I'm leaving for the next week after next? That shit changed, and I gotta go Thursday. Oh, that's abrupt. Leah took a breath. I'd like you to consider becoming the lead researcher for the remainder of this project. Oh my gosh, me? I mean, of course, that would be an honor. Leah swelled with pride and happiness for Annalisa. She had mentored and coached Annalisa in the field and the lab for the past year. Wait, how are you even going to get here for a flight the day after tomorrow? Aren't you in the middle of the jungle? Yeah, I think it can be just from outside the tent. Leah heard, Oye, Leah, deja de coquetear con tu novia. Tu hochi ya está enfriando, pues. Annalisa giggled. Sounds like you better go eat, Professor. Okay, I'll call you later to talk all this over. Leah pulled on jeans and doused anti-mosquito spray and pulled on a thick canvas long-sleeve shirt before emerging from her cocoon. A pile of hochi bones already lay next to Renato and his two assistants. He hoisted a big smoked rib up for her, a deep smile carved in his weathered face. After a long feast, Leah broke the news to Renato and asked if they could make it back in time. Renato, tengo que salir de la selva y recoger un vuelo en Santa Cruz para mañana pasado. ¿Es posible que llegamos a Santa Cruz para el vuelo? He furrowed his brow and began chirping to his two assistants in their native Yurokare. After a lot of gesturing and conversation, Renato explained that they could either make a raft tonight and try to float down in one day, or get up very early to hike to the tiny hamlet of Rio Veneno in hopes that someone would have a motor canoe that they could hire. Walking out in 2 days would be too hard for a woman, Renato explained. Leah frowned. He continued undisturbed. Son un día y media de casi correr para llegar a San Ramón, donde con mucha suerte alguien tendrá motos para ir corriendo a Santa Cruz. No creo que podemos. Mejor si hacemos un barco. Despite Leah's professional work with water, she feared boats and the turgid Amazonian waters, where caiman, eels, piranhas, and leeches awaited her. Yo puedo correr con ustedes a Rio Veneno para buscar una canoa a San Ramón. Renato munched on a crunchy bit of hochi tendon and swallowed, pondering a big strangler fig entwined around an ancient tree trunk looping over the campsite. Ya, entonces nos vemos a las 4 de la mañana para marchar. Ni modo, veremos cómo te va corriendo con mis chasquis aquí. Renato laughed and began chewing coca with the two silent porters. They would embark before dawn. They struck camp long before the first light, leaving most of their burdensome provisions and equipment behind. It hurt to abandon so many valuable resources, but Renato said the natives would find them and use them. If by natives he meant ants, then Leah agreed. Over the next 18 hours, Leah ran her first ultramarathon over, under, and through a biting, buzzing green inferno. Her backpack bounced across her shoulders, rubbing them raw. She gulped water and chewed coca all day long to keep up her strength. By the afternoon, she had lost 2 toenails and stumbled on every root. She kept her eyes fixed on Mario's sandaled feet in front of her, counting his steps to keep her mind off the flaming agony of her muscles. His veined calves looked stronger than the trees around her, and he hummed along with a load 4 times heavier than hers. She refused his offer to take her meager backpack, waging a mental battle not to become more of a burden than she already was. For every time Renato asked her to stop and rest, she swatted him away like one of the incessant gnats around her. She was not going to give up before him. On several occasions they stopped, and her guides held spirited arguments in Yurokare. These did not inspire confidence. Her phone showed some progress, but it didn't help because the hilly, waterlogged terrain meant that beelining it for San Ramon wasn't possible. Strange growling sounds rose from her right as they emerged from the dense forest to the edge of a shallow, sandy streambed. Renato and the porters plunged in, water halfway up their calves. They used the stream as a path. This was far easier than walking through the woods, and the stream had a peaceful, friendly light to its clear waters. Leah slurped from her camelback but came up dry. She was tempted to plunge her head down and drink from the stream. They turned around bend after bend, sometimes climbing over fallen trees and avoiding massive webs of large black spiders that walled off stream sides and sometimes crossed overhead. The 2 porters pulled up short and pointed to a big animal lying on a sandbar up ahead. It was a dead sloth. The group approached and Chabo poked the sloth. The animal came to life with a sloth movement, stirring dozens of flies from its shaggy body. "Está herido," moaned Chabo. "¿Qué hacemos?" asked Mario. Renato got excited. "Well, if it's hurt, then we have to kill it and put it out of its misery." Leah defended the slow-moving teddy bear. No, you can't kill him. Let's wash him off." The men agreed that this was a good plan, and Renato promptly grabbed the sloth and plunged him in the stream, singing a bath time song. Leah helped rub away the mud and grime from the sloth's hair, holding his arm at a distance. She didn't notice as his long claw slowly clamped down on her arm. The claw broke her skin in its slow-motion vice, and she yelped, "Mierda, me rascó!" The guides threw their head back in laughter. Despite all the hand-washing, they discovered no injuries in the sloth. Mario lovingly deposited the creature on a nearby tree, bequeathing it their last 2 bananas. The sloth started the... Willie? Hey, Willie! No, he just ate. Ugh, Willie. No. Willie, you can't eat this page. I'm almost done with it, and you can have it, okay? Yeah, almost done. Okay. Where were we? The sloth started the beginnings of a scowl as they trudged off down the stream. The great green walls on either side darkened and the stream became a narrow ribbon of light in the evening hours. Leah had hit the first mental wall of exhaustion several hours back. She passed through several more and was now on the verge of total depletion. She had to focus on every step, willing herself to make another after another. Despite months of hiking and outdoor activity, her feet were a mass of blisters. After more punishing hours, the stream opened up into a giant black river, so wide she couldn't see the other side. She squinted at a swarm of fireflies. Strange animal noises came from the other bank. "San Ramon," said Renato. She squinted again, and the fireflies focused into a few twinkling light bulbs, and the animal noises were a distant reggaeton beat. She hated that music, but it had never sounded sweeter. The guides and Renato got in another Yurokare discussion and waved their arms at the waters. Finally, Chabo started wading into the wide river as if he could walk across. It had to have been the width of 2 football fields. Leah just stared, unbelieving. Was he going to swim with his heavy pack? Renato told her that in the dry season, vehicles and people could sometimes make it across because the river wasn't that deep. And now? Maybe he can. He told me to wait because he's a good swimmer. Leah was also a good swimmer when she wasn't exhausted. Her phone told her that she had walked 35 miles that day, which given the terrain and her load felt like 100. The guide's torso and shoulders stayed above the water at the halfway point, and Renato said, "Ni modo, vámonos!" Leah thought, "Fuck it," to herself and followed them, despite every safety instinct screaming at her that this would be exactly how she died, swept away in turgid Amazonian waters carrying a heavy backpack. Renato broke out a rope, and the 3 drenched explorers grabbed hold, following Chabo into the fast-moving Black River. Initially, Leah felt firm sand underfoot, but by the middle it grew slippery. She plunged over her head several times as holes opened up below her. Last page. Each time she hauled on the rope, and Renato's forceful arms lifted her back above the water. Mierda, she gasped. He smiled. The force of the water made her lean into the current. Slimy objects brushed past her. Something nibbled her ankle. She growled and shuffled ahead as fast as she could, panic welling up inside her. The town seemed to be getting no closer. Once again, a step forward found nothing but water, and she plunged into the stream, only managing to hold the rope with one hand as her backpack dragged her down. This time, Renato did not pick her up, and she started swallowing water. A foot kicked her in the face. She rolled over underwater. The pressure on her chest grew. Her head throbbed. The water beat at her, and her legs smashed into a rock. A voice in her head warned, "Ditch the backpack, you're drowning." Despite all the waterproof research materials, tools, and notes, Leah let go of the rope and used her hands to desperately unclip her hip belt and claw the shoulder straps off her as she somersaulted underwater. She was somersaulted in the fast-flowing blackness now, with no idea which directions were up, down, left, or right. She panicked. She was going to die. Her lungs felt like bursting. Her head thwacked into a sunken log. By pure instinct, she twisted and pushed off the log with both feet. Leah breached the surface and gasped like a catfish in the bottom of a metal boat. Sweet, oxygen-rich air filled her burning lungs. She regained her footing and realized that she was only in hip-deep water near the San Ramon bank. Renato shouted from upstream and rushed towards her. In less than 20 seconds underwater, she had traveled far downstream. Mario reached her first and grabbed her shaking hand. "Un momento," she begged. Willie, come on now. You can eat it later. "We're almost done, Willie." Mario gazed at her with his big brown eyes. "Casi ahogas." You almost drowned. They looked at each other. Suddenly, he started laughing, and she couldn't help but join him. His laughter was like the parrot flocks that passed overhead, short and chirping. He made somersaulting motions with his arms, and he hugged her. He thumped his chest and said in Spanish, "The Yakumama's powerful, huh? She gives you life, and she takes it away." Leah's shaking subsided. Renato asked her about the backpack, and she shrugged, still shaken. The porter started laughing at Renato, who had also fallen in the same hole and taken a dunking. Chabo yelled from the bank to ask if they were playing around. He had already found two teenagers willing to take Leah and Renato the 186 kilometers to Santa Cruz that very night on the back of their motorcycles over the rough jungle roads that often compared unfavorably to waterlogged deer paths. Leah happily paid each $200, 2 months' wages, and wrapped her body desperately around a very happy 18-year-old who had only been to Santa Cruz twice in his life. So that's chapter 2. I hope you enjoyed it. Please go and back the Kickstarter. It's ending in December 31st. I really need your help to get to the goal. So go to cyberfirebook.com and you'll get to read a lot more when it's ready in about 2 months' time. Thank you.